Hey everybody, Brittany here. Welcome back to another King's Indian Attack speedrun video. Today we are playing Untom. We're playing against D5. Wonder how this will go. So we're playing against C5 as well. So this is kind of like a Sicilian. We're just going to go for our normal setup with D3. Maybe E4. Again, we could go for C4. Get those benoni structures like we did last time. And I'm thinking about it. Let's go for C4. Again. And the reason why I want to go for C4 instead of E4 is because, again, it's all about playing for this bishop. That's all I'm trying to do here. And now I think E3 is a good move. Last time we had these types of positions, we didn't get to trade the E-pawns, which I think is a disadvantage for us. And it's something we definitely benefit from. Okay, so they take like that. That's really interesting. I don't know if that's good though. Because this does open up our bishop quite a bit, right? Also, it trades off pieces when we have a space disadvantage. So do I go for A3, B4? That does look good. Let's go for A3, B4. And B4, great. I think they were trying to go for bishop D7 there. Like the idea of rook B8 is to go bishop D7 to C6 to counter my bishop, but I don't think I want to let them do that. Let's play knight D2. If they go bishop D7, I think I'm going to go B5 actually. And just to prevent bishop to C6. So if they want to do anything, bishop D7 is a waste of time. They'll have to go back and play B6, bishop B7. Kind of an interesting idea. I like B5, but I also like C5. C5 to go to C4. But they might go for E5, E4. I still like C5 though. C5 looks interesting. Because if they go to C7, I'm not sure if they're happy there. I'm going to go knight C4. Looking at bishop G5. Again, when we trade off two pieces, we're extremely happy. And I think we achieved quite a bit. So that would not really be advised for them. Unfortunately, we don't have like bishop f4. That'd be like a dream come true. That's what I was hoping for with bishop e7 or bishop f8. So we do get the move bishop f4 in potentially. Huh. So I could push. And is that pawn going anywhere if I go b5 as well? I'm not sure. Taking is always a safe bet though. Push b5. Yeah, I think I gotta take. I think that's probably the best bet. They're definitely going to take with the pawn. I don't think bishop takes makes any sense. Letting us trade off another pair of pieces. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't think this is correct because now we traded off even more and those trades help us significantly. Because now you can think of it as like they had a space advantage, but now they have like negative space, right? For example, like the c6 square could potentially be weak when we look at the fact that our bishop's covering it. Bishop f4, there's e5. So I'm looking at bishop g5 right now. The thing is there's no pin, so they can move it. They can go like knight d5 here. Which makes me want to go rook e1. And the idea of rook e1 is actually to target the fact that knight d5 can be met with bishop takes d5. And that wins. I could have also done that the other way. Bishop d5, knight d5, and then rook e1. I think this move order makes a little bit more sense. Because it also facilitates a potential bishop f4 right now. Okay. Yeah, we're kind of forced into trading. which is fine. It is a consequence of, well, fianchettoing is now we have some maybe potentially weak light squares. But we also have some other stuff going on here too, which I think is favorable for us. For example, we have this move bishop e5 coming. Like rook c8, I'm just going to go bishop e5. And I'm looking at the d4 pawn. That'd be a nice pawn to win. I'm also looking at moves like queen d2 and rook c1. The more we trade, I think the better our position gets. Any king and pawn ending is most likely just winning because of our outside pass pawn. But that's a far away. We still have a lot of pieces that would have to be traded in order to get to it. So do we take on f6 or not? That's a good question. So their threat right now is to move their knight. Which is a good threat. It's definitely a good threat. The thing is, if we take... Their position is not so bad. We do have this check followed by queen f4 to target the f-pawn. But then they just play f5. We could also play moves like queen h5 to target f7. Oh, no, we can't, right? We always got to watch out for those things. Whose piece is better? Is a difficult question to answer. What if I just go rook c1 and actually let them? I'm curious. Because, okay, the reason why I did this is because, okay, we see knight d7, or we see rook takes c1 first, bishop f4, e5, and then bishop to d2. Will my bishop not be better long term? It's a very challenging question to answer, but it's a very pertinent one as well, because there are situations where the bishop could just be better, right? If we get into a bishop versus knight ending and we have these pawns on the queen side, and we have the ability to create a passed pawn on the queen side, that could lead to an advantage. We could also see, you know, maybe they get some activity though, because e5 is a nice move to make. And I think they should play it. I don't really see a reason not to. Yep. Queen a4 is next on my agenda. Queen a2 is a nice move, actually. Okay, so I'm going to play queen a4 just to take a peek at their knight. I'm also taking a peek at the pawn. I'm curious what will be done. For example, if knight b6... Okay, so I'm not really sure what to think of that. This looks reasonable for them, though. I'm thinking of just trading everything off. Again, I think because I have the bishop and they have the knight, that some positions might just be favored for me. So I'll just go rook c1. Yeah, I'll just go rook c1. And we'll just start trading everything off. I mean, you know what would be funny? Knight b6, rook takes, knight takes, and then queen e8 checkmate. But of course, they'll probably take with the queen. My idea is if everything trades off, I'm not too worried of like queen c7 or queen c8 or anything. I have queen b3 check followed by queen b2 at the very least. So I can cover the file in time. And it doesn't even really matter. I can bring my bishop to d2 or to b2. And all of these squares are covered. Yeah, so do I want my bishop on d2 or b2? I think d2 is maybe a bit more flexible. Because if I play b5 and bishop a5 or something, feels a bit more friendly for an option. Yeah. Now it's time to give a check. If they bring their king towards the center, I don't actually know if that's such a great idea because I have a5, a4, a5, and b5 coming with a check. And things can get extremely dangerous if they're not careful here. Like b5 check and then queen g8 check. I might just win their queen tactically. This could be very dangerous for them. They have to watch out. Okay, that makes sense. Let's play b5. Yeah, b5 looks good. I'm expecting knight c5, bishop b4, and then they move their king out of the way. But then I have a few responses. Oh, they didn't do that. Interesting. Okay, so now it looks like they might just lose from this one right here, bishop b4. Because if they go king e8, sorry, then this check is just going to win. It's going to win the knight f8. Yeah, so queen g8 check. The only move is knight f8. I take it and then trade queens, and this is winning, which is unfortunate. But knight c5. Knight c5. I just play queen c4, and this piece can't be defended. All right, takes. Actually, I just have a checkmate here, which is better. Wait, is it checkmate in 1 with queen e7? Yeah, it is. Okay. I was about to play queen d6 and then queen e7, but queen d6 is slower. So I wonder if we made any mistakes. There's definitely a chance we did. I'm going to turn on the lines. Let's find out. All right, so d3, c4, everything felt good here. e3 I was quite happy with. Takes. Knight takes does feel weird. And again, whenever you have the space advantage, you need to keep pieces on, right? The whole point of the space advantage is you need pieces to hold on to that space. If you don't have pieces, then things become easy, right? Like in this position, they wish they had h6 played. If they had an extra move, they'd play h6 or like move the knight. Because one of their big problems right now is bishop g5 is actually being shown as well as completely equalizing, because when you take the space disadvantage, the computer will really dislike it, and it will want to start trading pieces off. And strategically, these things become actually very difficult for black sometimes when pieces come off the board. If it's just one pair of pieces, then it's hard to say that white might have a clear advantage. If they get two pieces off, though, that's where things become troubling. Like after knight takes d4, we can take and then play. I was looking at bishop g5 as well. I didn't want to give up the bishop here, but yeah, bishop g5 as well might just give white a clear advantage, and that's actually the top move, funnily enough. I played a3, going for like b4, c5, b5 stuff, and I think because we're able to like play this plan too, there's not really much they can do. Like if they waste time with h6, then I can go for a full expansion. And the idea when you have the space disadvantage, there's two of them. It's going for this b4 and b5 type of position where we get a lot of queenside space and really prove the advantage of our bishop. But it's also to trade down. And this is where, yeah, you can choose between two different plans, but they don't really compete against each other, right? Objectively, I think bishop g5 is probably the smarter decision, but yeah, I played a3 instead. So we see rook b8. Queen a4 check is popping up, which is interesting. Oh, just going for the pawn. Bishop d7, queen a7, right? That's a funny pawn to go after, isn't it? Bishop d7. Oh, nope, definitely not that. Bishop d7 takes queen c7. There's queen takes d4. Okay, so this pawn's actually hanging still, my bad. And I guess you're just in time to deal with this. This like looks a little scary because the queen has no good moves right now. Rook a8, you can meet with queen b7, luckily. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so I didn't see that. I gotta admit, I don't even think I saw the pawn hanging there. But yeah, knight d2, and then c5, knight c4. I ended up not trying to trade everything off. because I thought it'd be a little interesting. Bishop g5 is, of course, a great option in these positions, but whenever you get this expansion on the side of the board, you can somewhat claim an advantage there as well. So b6, c6 is actually playable. B5 with knight a5. I didn't think of knight a5, but actually it's really smart. You're just trying to hold on to this pawn and saying, hey, you can't really take my knight. If you ever take here, the problem is whenever you take on a5 again, there's always c7 tricks in the air. Like the first thing I looked at was bishop f4 actually. Like, does bishop f4 work? Unfortunately, it doesn't. Our rook would need to be on e1. Like if we wasted a little bit of time here at h6. Now bishop f4 is extremely strong because the idea is they can't really go anywhere comfortable with their rook. If they play their rook into the corner, we can look at moves like c7. And again, there's problems on the long diagonal. And that's the power of that fianchetto bishop, right? So c takes b. Bishop takes b was definitely a mistake because it again lets us trade down, but it also gives us the bishop pair, which we're very ecstatic about. Interesting. Oh, interesting. We want to throw in bishop f4. We don't care much about the bishop pair here. That's really clever. The idea behind bishop f4 is it forces this exchange anyways, but in a favorable way where we get some extra tempos with the move rook to c1. That is clever. Huh. I was just going for the strategic idea of the fact that I felt like we weren't doing so bad here. But actually, funnily enough, they got a reasonable variation here after bishop e5, queen d5, where I wasn't really wanting to take on f6. It turns out this is the best move. It feels really dicey because whenever you see positions like this, you can easily see moves like f5, and their king isn't really that weak actually. And what we did is we actually improved their center. So we have to be really careful about something like this when there's less pieces on the board, because we can look at a position where the queens come off. They bring their king to f6 and they're just better. Let me find an example of that. Don't mind these moves. Okay, I know those are bad moves. And then like, I don't know. Rook to c1, a5, sure. I'm just trying to, again, find some sort of example for what I mean. And they just bring their king to f6, and it feels like they have a lot to fight for here. The evaluation is about equal, maybe slightly better for white on this, but I just have a hard time believing this because I feel like this pawn could be more of a weakness than an asset. And this king is extremely well placed, and you have to worry about e5, e4 coming. So, but that's an interesting observation there. Yeah, so that's why I tried rook c1, and I didn't think this would be like so awful, but rook c3 is able to be played. What's the idea here? So if we take it, pawn takes, and then queen c2, they can just hold on to the pawn and create a big problem for us, essentially. Interesting. Yeah. That looks like a problem. So yeah, it turns out, yeah, this variation of knight takes b6 is actually not the right way to play here. It is, this did feel wrong, but it's wrong for a different reason. We want to play bishop f4 and go into this instead, because we do get some extra tempos with moves like rook c1. We might be able to put a piece on e5, and when there's less imbalances and there's less weaknesses for us, because d4 can be considered a weakness, I guess that's where our advantage lies, which again is very difficult to realize, but it's a great lesson for us. So I think that's going to cover it for the game. I hope you guys enjoy. It was definitely really interesting and hopefully really instructive as well to see some of those strategic plans, as we've seen many times in these King's Indian attack. games so far, but also some nice twists on them where going for what looks like a good trade where we get the bishop pair might not be as good as we think, because I think ultimately what was decided is that, or what the problem is that this bishop's a little awkward. It's hard to find a good square for it, and we don't really want to take on f6 because, well, again, it increases their central control, and it doesn't really offer much of an advantage compared to the line mentioned here. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.